Hi, I'm Ashley McCord, and welcome to the Bread Beckers. Today we're going to be talking about a few of the reasons why I absolutely love the Zojirushi Bread Machine and using your homemade cycles to the absolute fullest potential. The fantastic thing about the newest model of the Zojirushi is that it actually has 3 memory cycles within the homemade settings. So you can actually totally customize 3 different settings for 3 different types of breads that you want to make. I use Memory 1 for my fully baked loaf of bread. We have a video on our website that shows you how to totally customize and set that Memory 1 cycle for your fully baked loaf of bread. So please don't hesitate to watch that, and I'll walk you through all the steps and also give you the times to start with for your preheat and your knead and your rise times and your bake time, and tell you how to do all of that. Memory 2 I use for my freshly kneaded dough. There are 2 default dough cycles on the Zojirushi. One is a quick dough that's 45 minutes long, and the other is a basic dough that's an hour and 50 minutes long. Those are nice, but sometimes I just want dough and I want it right now, and I don't want to have to wait for the preheating and the rising and all of that. So on Memory 2, I like to set the preheat at 0 minutes at off, knead for 20 minutes, rise 1 off, rise 2 off, rise 3 off. Of course, the bake is off and the keep warm is off. So you end up having a 20-minute dough cycle for when you just want dough right now. Memory 3, we get a lot of questions about how do I make the Ezekiel fasting bread in my Zojirushi. This is what I reserve Memory 3 for, and I want to give you the approximate start times on the Ezekiel fasting bread. The biggest thing you want to be careful of is if you're using the actual fasting bread recipe found in our Bread Beckers recipe collection. The Ezekiel fasting bread is a batter bread, meaning it's very loose, it's very soupy, it will never form a nice ball of dough. So you want to make sure that it doesn't over-rise, because if it does, the batter will just spill over the sides of the pan, get all down in the bottom of your machine, and that is a mess you do not want to have to deal with. So my times that I suggest you start with are preheat set for 15 minutes, knead for 20 to 25. Because the fasting bread recipe has grains like spelt and lentils and millet and barley and 3 different kinds of bean flours, it's a much higher moisture bread recipe. So it may need to knead a little longer than 20 minutes. So somewhere between 20 to 25 is a good place to start. Rise 1, I would set for 30 minutes. You want to be careful there and maybe even choose a nice cool location in your kitchen to keep your bread machine when making the Ezekiel bread, because if it rises too fast, there again it's going to spill over the side. So start at about 30 minutes and just watch it very carefully that first time that you make bread. Rise 2 and Rise 3, you're going to leave both of those in the off position because you only want the Ezekiel bread to rise that one time. Bake, I would suggest that you start at 55 minutes because it is a higher moisture bread. It's going to bake longer than your traditional bread recipes do. So start at 55 minutes. The keep warm setting, you're just going to put that in the off position. And those should be your starting settings for Ezekiel fasting bread. I do want to tell you one trick that I've started doing with the Ezekiel mixture of grains and beans is I've started grinding that mixture of grains and beans so that I get the complete protein out of the bean flour, and anytime you mix a grain and a bean together, you get a complete protein. So I've started grinding that mixture of grains and beans and using that flour as the flour in my basic dough recipe, and then I would be able to use my Memory 1 cycle to do a fully baked loaf of bread, but I would get all of the benefits of the grains and bean flour together from the Ezekiel mix without doing that very battery fasting bread recipe. So that's just a tip that you might want to try. Then the other thing that I love about my Zojirushi is the timer function. It's a delay start is what it is. So you can use, if you want a fully baked loaf of bread and it's bedtime and you're about to head off to bed and you want a hot loaf of bread first thing in the morning, you can put all of your ingredients in, hit your select course button over to your memory 1, and then you're going to use the timer button to add more time to it. So you're going to use the timer function, and if you want your bread done in 12 hours, you're just going to keep pushing the timer button until the display screen displays 12 hours total, and then you just hit start, and in 12 hours you will have a fully baked loaf of bread. The other nice thing is using the timer function with memory 2, which you've programmed to be your dough setting. I use this all the time. I use it in the morning. I'll throw all my ingredients in, put it on memory 2 for dough, and then use the timer function so that I have freshly kneaded dough at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening when I get home, and I can roll out pizza crust for dinner or make garlic rolls or French bread for company coming over for dinner without having to get all my ingredients out. And the dough is ready and waiting for me when I walk in the door. I also like to use it at night before I go to bed, put it on memory 2, which is my dough cycle, put all my ingredients in, set the timer so that I have freshly kneaded dough when I wake up, and that dough is ready for me to make cinnamon rolls or donuts. It's great for a Saturday morning if your kids have friends over to spend the night and you want to make something yummy for breakfast. The dough's already done and waiting for you. So I hope that you will enjoy these 3 settings along with the timer function to make bread making convenient for you. So I hope you enjoy, and let us know if you have any questions. You can contact us at support@breadbeckers.com or by phone 770-516-5000.